Hello everyone! Welcome to Outriders Worldslayer. In today's video I'm going to share with you an Anomaly power pyromancer build using the Heatseeker set focusing on AOE, fast clearing expeditions and Tarya Gratar while solo. The set offers a lot of potential AOE capabilities because every successful detonation for thermal bomb, it will travel to another enemy with the lowest health in 25 meter radius, although it deals 50% less damage this way, can chain up to 3 times. So you can basically detonate some enemies and cause a very good chain reaction. That's why you clear the rooms very fast with minimum investment and with very good tier 3 new mods. So without any further delay, let's have a look at our skills. Thermal Bomb, because it's a bread and butter of the build, the best skill we're going to use and take full advantage thanks to the Heat Seekers. Overheat, because it scales very well with Thermal Bomb for more AOE and single target DPS, and because we have very decent tier 3 mods to our Heat Seeker set. And now the third option, it's honestly a little flexible. I have tested this with Eruption, Phaser Beam, Ash Blast, but I do like Volcanic Rounds for one reason, or basically two reasons. It offers 25% extra anomaly damage, not anomaly power, anomaly damage. This means everything you do deals 25% scaled extra damage. The skills, the mods, the status effects, everything. And for that to be achieved requires only one tier 1 mod. So every time you reload, let's say, activate Volcanic Round, switch your weapon, activate the reload boost, you will have for 10 seconds 25% extra damage to everything we do. That's why I like it and makes the rotation very smooth. So let's have a closer look at the armor and mods we're using. This is actually the minimum investment we're going to use because, as you can see, I have an epic piece for the legs. The hands have blacksmith, which I want to change immediately. And the boots have master consumer, which we don't take advantage because we're not using Ash Blast, we're using the reload boost. The ideal scenario is to have the Heatseeker helm, the chest, and either the hands or the boots. Why is that? The legs actually have a small problem I don't like. Heat Grenade, for example, is a very disappointing mod for this type of build. It doesn't offer as much damage as I have made some testing, run some expeditions. The damage it offers is laughable to say the least, so it's not necessary. And Fire Frenzy is actually not necessary as well. I discovered this because every time, I know I run Thermal Bomb, I run Fire Frenzy, but I tested this by accident without Fire Frenzy, and I found myself having much smoother rotation for two reasons. One, we are not stuck in animation of doing the superhero punch to apply Thermal Bomb, and unfortunately Branded no longer stacks with itself. So there's no reason to have the Fire Frenzy. You cannot debuff the boss to take 60% extra damage. You can only debuff it to take 30% extra damage. In case this changes, yes, I will go with Fire Frenzy. I do like to debuff the bosses double branded, but now because this doesn't work, head, chest, and either hands and boots. Now, for the head, I'm using something with Anomaly Power, skill leads, cooldown reduction now. Anomaly Power is a must. You get a lot of boost. Skill life leads or status power, it's something you want. You want a little bit skill life leads to go at around 20% and you're good to go. Now cooldown reduction, I have found out something interesting. Even if I have all the pieces with cooldown reduction, it actually doesn't scale to the maximum with the skills. Even if I remove a piece, I will still have the same amount. Let's have a demonstration. Even if I remove, let's say, this piece, let's say now we have the skills of this type of cooldowns. Helmet, my skills have still the same cooldowns. I remove the chest piece, my skills have a little lower cooldowns, but as you can see, I think there is a cap for how much cooldown reduction you can get, because you see 4.5, 6.9, 12.4, and the head, once again, with cooldown reduction, 4.5, 6.9, 12.4. So yes, this actually is something to consider. So have at least 4 pieces with cooldown reduction to maximize, and the rest with either status power or skin life leech. Now Big Boom, a must-have mod, 40% extra radius for the thermal bomb, and this is one of the hardest hitting skills we have. Double Fan, yes, we can affect 2 targets. This way you can actually affect elites or other targets to destroy them and cause more chain reaction, so yeah, very good. Reload boost, the reason we're using the Volcanic rounds, 25% anomaly damage, once again applies even to our mods and our status effects, that's why we like it. If it was anomaly power, it will still be good, but not as good as this. The Hit Seeker chest with Fire Trap, the new best tier 3 mod for Thermal Bomb. Using the skill on a target marked or afflicted with burn, it will cause an explosion dealing a huge amount of damage, and this can basically destroy and kill the enemy, if not this, included with a Thermal Bomb, so yeah, this will help a lot. We replace the second mod with Captain Hunter, because we need dice against bosses and elites. No resistance against the Fortified, a must-have mod in my opinion. You have only a weapon with 30% armor piercing, so you will have 30% resistance piercing. We scale well with our sets and Pax Trees. For the legs now, I'm using something with Anomaly power, skill its cooldown reduction now. Sunburn, I definitely want to replace this with something else, but I don't know about Punch on Fire. I like it, it deals a lot of damage, but I want to make a little more testing to see how much you're going to get. Honestly, if you want to go for speed runs, quote unquote, add Punch on Fire. It clears ads much faster. If you don't care about speed runs and you want to lose, I don't know, some seconds, you can just forget even Punch of Fire and Sunburn. For the gloves, unfortunately I have max health, and my boots because I wear the boots and the gloves for the Hit Seeker, but we want to replace one of that with another piece that has anomaly power, but for now we're using this. Turn up the hit, 2 uses of Thermal Bomb is always better than 1. Branded, this was nerfed by 10% compared to the old patch, and also the huge nerf is that no longer stacks with itself. You cannot do double branded now. If we can do that, Fire Frenzy was going to be a must, and Blacksmith, this is something we will immediately replace with first chance we get. The boots, once I get max health, we want to replace it. Bullet Kindling comes with the boots, which is a very good mod. 12% extra damage against enemies afflicted by burn, usually the bosses or the elites that not died even when you shoot them with Thermal Bomb, so that's what we want. And Unstoppable Force, a must-have mod. 50% of resistance piercing is an anomaly power increase, and we'll have a lot of resistance piercing, so Master Consumer is something I want to replace the first chance I have. Let's have a closer look at the weapons. Here to the Desert is one of the best in slot because it has armor pierce we want, status power and skill leads. In case you cannot find all three, priority number 1 is armor pierce, second stat is status power, and third is skill life leech. Armor pierce to increase our resistance pierce. So here to the Desert comes with Sunstorm, Ultimate Storm Whip, and we have to have Firestorm. This is the best mod for single target DPS, not only of the large damage, but it inflicts burn. This scales very well with overheat because you shoot an elite on a boss, you pop up your skills, double overheat with a small delay to have a lot of damage. And the second weapon, honestly, you need something that is decent, has armor pierce as least. I don't have the best in slot, I have Mythos that has a decent damaging tier 3 mod, and I added the other higher damaging mod. Omen is not the best because I cannot trigger it as often, but this is the only weapon I found that has armor pierce. These are not the ideal actually mods for especially single target DPS. I'm going to show you later what we're going to use, and the sidearm I don't use it at all in my rotation, so I'm only using these two. Before we see the alternative modes, let's have a look at our talents. Focusing mostly on the Tempest tree, there are 3, in my opinion, flex slots you can change here. This is the unchangeable because we go full glass cannon. I do like it. I have tested. I have died, I think, once. That doesn't count because I had the Phoenix Nestling. That's the survivability tool we have. In case you have trouble surviving, I will just suggest some mods you can use and some changes you can make here, because we go full here to have the Grave Ablaze, the We Fire an Anomaly, Phoenix Nestling, Extinction is a must, and up to here Magma Golem is a must because in case you want to go for survivability, we have to go to Master of Armor, Master of the Resistance, and then you can get more health, or you can get something like Mark's Accumulation for extra percent more damage for the skills. If you don't care about that, we go here to have a Resistance Pierce. This way we'll have 85% Resistance Pierce, so we will increase the damage from general damage and our anomaly power because of our mods, and because of our Pax Tree, this will increase the damage of our skills. Let's have a look at the Pax Tree. We're going full Pyromaniac. Bottom tree first increases further resistance pierce, Second, increases the damage of the explosive skill by 100% of resistance piercing. That's why 85% extra damage for the skills, the explosive skills, thermal boom and overheat, and another 85% anomaly power increase thanks to our mods. Then we're going for the convection. That's why I don't use the fire frenzy. Convection, you will make sure to open with thermal bomb, volcanic round, double overheat, and you can just immediately reuse thermal bomb. It's very good. Backdraft, 30% anomaly power for its skill on cooldown. Yeah, very good. 60% anomaly power maximum, or 90% where all our skills are on cooldown, but that's very rare to have all the skills in cooldown because we have the convection. And of course, Tiger Sequence, 25% extra damage for the next explosive skill, stacking up to 3 times. You can get coming in hot, that scales with everything else, but our top damaging skills are the top damaging sources are the overheat and thermal bomb, and that's why I'm going here. Now let's talk about the Ascension levels. 51 levels is surprisingly the minimum requirement I have just reached to have the optimized maximum options for increased damage. Now, number 1, anomaly damage, because 10% extra damage to everything you do. Then resistance pierce, because this will increase our anomaly power, resistance piercing, damage from our explosive skills by 10%, so it's a must. Then we go for anomaly power, then we go damage against elites because that's the thing we only struggle, and then we go for status power to maximize the status effects. After that you can go skill leads, focus a little bit on the prowess or endurance. Don't take cooldown reduction because as you can see, it may stack, but you don't actually need further cooldowns than this. These are fine, you basically spam your skills in case you do the proper rotation, so you actually don't need them. After that, focus on endurance for martial ability, and after you have filled everything, just go for brutality for the lol, so in case you just want to go for a firepower build. Now let's have a closer look at the ideal scenario and the ideal mods we're going to get and what we can replace to have, let's say, the god rolls. Now, let's say we have the Heatseeker Helm, so Sunburn is already replaced with the tier 1 mod Phoenix Force. I can test it, but for now I'm not very impressed with Sunburn. I have tested the build without and with Sunburn and I didn't see so much increase for single target DPS, that's why I chose it now. I hope to kill the elites a little better and the bosses, but it doesn't offer as much as I wanted. So I'm going to have to keep the Phoenix Force for the helmet. So now we have to replace the Apocalypse mod on the legs we're missing, for the boots because we have Master Consumer, and for the hands, so we need 3 more modes that we're going to use. Thankfully there are very good options. Tier 1 there are not any other options you can get for now, but there are very good tier 3 options. The best, number 1, in my opinion, Power Simulation. Even more anomaly power, although it's less compared, for example, to Anomaly Echo or Arms of the Anomaly. In case you face 3 or 4 or 5 elites in the battlefield, that's like a lot more anomaly power compared to all the other mods I can offer. That's why it's mandatory, so 2 more mods to go. Now we have some combination options in case you want survivability or in case you want more damage. Now, because of the ideal weapon mod I'm going to explain later, this could be a good option in case we're going for the god roll for the weapons as well. Arms of the Anomaly critical shots will increase anomaly power by a lot compared, for example, to Anomaly Echo, but Anomaly Echo is more consistent compared to Arms of the Anomaly. In case you want to go for consistency, add clearing, you don't care to have single target DPS and kill bosses, Anomaly Echo is the way to go. In case you want to maximize your single target DPS, destroy bosses, Arms of the Anomaly is the way to go. Or you can use those 2 mods as your last mods. They're decent, but I do prefer to reserve Anomaly Echo for other options we can use. For example, I do want to invest at least 1 mod for more survivability, and the best survivability mode is of course the Damage Absorber, increases our armor and resistance. It will give you around 67 to 68% mitigation compared to what we have now, 50%, something like that, so it's a must in case you want more survivability. Or for even more survivability on top of that, add Circle of Power and you will have 60% resistance on top of a lot of armor, making you completely unkillable. But there is another combination I want to try, and that's Danger Close. It will give us 6% anomaly power bonus for its enemy in close range. There is a cap to 25% maximum, so 4 times 6 is 25%. And there is no other so good tier 3 mods, although they are decent. We have already this unstoppable force and everything else. The second mod, I think it will go well with Danger Close, is the Untamed Power, because it scales with Anomaly Power. 30% of your total Anomaly Power is inflicted to enemies as damage in 5-meter radius. Because we spam our skills, this can actually be a lot of damage. And on top of that, it's an extra 35% extra damage. 25% from reload boost and 10% from our Ascension Tree. Now, other options you can use, in case you find them, they are decent. Twice as hot is not as bad, it's 30% extra Anomaly Power damage, something like Untamed Power, but only to enemies afflicted by burn, the bosses, the elites. In case you have shoot a thermal bomb, it's okay in case you find it to one of your gear pieces. And then basically anything that increases your Anomaly Power. For example, if you have Rejuvenation, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. It's not in our ideal scenario. Now, these are some options you can consider, these two. Stand Tall, you see, for example, they offer so much little compared to the tier 3 mod. Let's compare Stand Tall, it offers 33.9 thousand Anomaly Power, compare to the Anomaly Echo that offers 113 Anomaly Power, or Arms with Anomaly, almost 200,000 Anomaly Power damage. Yeah, it's huge difference, that's why there are not many so good here 2 mods we can use. Ash and Bush would be good, but we don't inflict Ash as often. We have already the Bullet Kindling, we have the best mods, even Aura Force is not as good compared to all the tier 3 mods, that's why we recommend those. So actually the ideal mods for the weapon is to have, for example, the Hair to the Desert with an Apocalypse mod, one of the two, the standard mod and the second mod. So the best now probably new mod is Mage's Rage for Anomaly Power builds. It stacks up to 4 times, every critical hit increases your Anomaly Power by 10%, so that's 40% extra Anomaly Power, it's awesome. And this combined with a Fortress that will increase your damage by 20%, you will get the Anomaly Power and damage boost you need to kill the boss. Now, in this case scenario, let's say we have the Hair to the Desert, it has, instead of Ultimate Storm Whip, it has Mage's Rage, we add the Fortress, and we have the Sunstorm. Now we must have a second weapon, either a second Hair to the Desert or something that has armor piece like Mythos or another, or even an epic piece, and you must add to that piece Firestorm. This is actually once again the best mode to deal single target DPS and destroy elites and bosses very fast, because it deals a lot of damage and inflicts burn and scales very well with overheat. The rotation here is quite simple, with open with volcanic rounds and switch the weapon, so you must always have as primary equipped weapon the one you're not going to use. So in case you're going to use Hair to the Desert, equip the Mythos or the weapon you're not using. Once you reload, use Thermal Bomb. This way we have 60% extra Anomaly Power thanks to our Pax Tree, and double overheat immediately to deal a lot of damage, and once you double overheat, Thermal Bomb is going to go back, thanks once again to the Pax Tree. Now, you can immediately shoot it or wait a second, because after 3 seconds, you will get another 4 seconds cooldown for your other skills. So if you time it correctly, and Volcanic Rounds, Thermal Bomb, double overheat, wait a second, Thermal Bomb, you will immediately get back overheat, so you will double overheat once again, then get back Volcanic Rounds. Once you pop up Volcanic Rounds and Thermal Bomb, you will trigger once again the cooldowns for overheat. And the basic thing you need to remember is have Thermal Bomb and Volcanic Rounds on cooldown when you're using overheat. There is only one exception to the rule. We open with overheat when we need to interrupt enemies or we need to mark them. We need to mark the enemies because of the Fire Trap mode, the tier 3 mode we have that deals damage explosive to enemies marked or afflicted with burn. So yes, that's ideal to do, and that's why we open with overheat, or to, as I told you, interrupt the elites that are in a farther distance to just reach up to them. Single target dip is quite similar. Once again, we have to use Volcanic Rounds, Thermal Bomb, and double overheat. But before you overheat, you have to use your weapon mode. You have to use the Firestorm mode on the boss. This way you will overheat and overheat if you wait a split second to apply burn a second time and deal a lot of damage to the boss, destroy it thanks to the overheat, and then you can keep your loop. Thermal Bomb, Volcanic Rounds, double overheat, and keep up the Firestorm to the boss until it's dead. The advantage of this build is simply very good area clear. Even Tarya Gratar, you can solo it 1 or 2 levels lower. You don't need to invest so much on survivability once you can remain in yourself in long range, so you don't get a lot of damage and you can destroy everything. Overheat interrupts, thermal bomb interrupts, so just destroy everything. The only disadvantage, small, is the single target DPS against bosses. Against expeditions like Moloch, you still don't need the ideal setup, as you can see in the background. However, the last Arbiter in Tarya Gratar, that's our only challenge. I would recommend there to invest in survivability, because you're not going to destroy him unless you find the ideal tier 3 mods for the weapons to proc the extra anomaly power and damage thanks to Fortress and our new tier 3 mod for the weapon. But apart from that, I do love the build. It's very easy to use, very straightforward, very powerful, and I do highly recommend it for solo expeditions or Tarya Gratar. And so that was it for today's video. I really hope this will help you to build your own variation of the Heatseeker Anomaly Power Pyromancer build using either this setup or your own setup. Just replace one of the skills and add the mods you want. I do like, once I told you, the reload boost with volcanic rounds because it requires one mod. So even me in early access, I can just maximize the damage, destroy expeditions with a minimum amount of investment. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video. Extra thank you in case you stick around until the end. Feel free to like and subscribe for more upcoming videos for Outriders, Worldslayer and other video games. And as always, I wish you all a wonderful day.